Hello, today's topic is not a fun one. If you saw the thumbnail, you know it's going to be about grief and loss. But here's the reality. Every single one of us on this earth can reduce our pain and suffering when it comes to loss if we applied certain tactics and strategies and use certain tools. Ultimately, you cannot fully avoid the pain and suffering that comes with living on this earth in this lifetime. That's just the reality. You already know this. I want to talk about a lot of different things today, but one, first and foremost, is loss is not just having something of value, a relationship, an aspect of a relationship, a job, a house, a car, a pet, whatever it is that you can lose in this life, which boils down to everything. Anything you can think of on this earth is something that you can lose. It's not only the loss of that. It's not only the threat of the loss of that that causes you to be uncomfortable. In addition, it's that gap between what you have and what you don't have. That also registers as grief. So you got two main aspects of life that are revolving around every single moment. Everything that we think about, all of our communications, everything that we do is trying to avoid loss. Think about that for a moment. Think about all the times you ever played games or were in competition. Think about just your normal everyday life when you're comparing and contrasting with people. Think about everything that you ever do. You're always trying to win, most of us, most of the time, because by winning, we think that we're gaining something of value. And if we're not, then we're losing. And if we're losing, then we're going to be uncomfortable because we lost something of value or not getting something of value. That's why it's so important. That's why we strive so hard. That's why we dedicate so many hours in our whatever it is that we're doing. Oftentimes it's to avoid losing, and it's to win. There's nothing wrong with competing. There's nothing wrong with trying to do your absolute best. There's nothing wrong with striving to be good, great, excellent, elite. Nothing wrong. Big fan of all of that. Train, work hard, persevere, be determined, overcome obstacles, overcome fears, overcome your laziness, learn to manage your messages, learn to optimize who you are in every aspect of your life that you can. Invest in that process. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't strive for perfectionism because it's not going to work, and that's a whole slippery slope. There's videos on that. Go check those out. But you can always be striving to win. But that win, you got to understand why you're doing it. Is it for you to be your absolute best, to find out what your actual capacity is, find out where your limitations are? Or is it because you're trying to gain an advantage over someone? Because if you weren't to do that, then you would feel like you lost, and then you would have the consequent grief. Stop and think about the motivations behind why you try so hard. And you could be trying hard at video games. I'll tell you right now, I work with tons of kids, adolescents, adults. Video games are very, very important to them. As you know, they're trying to win. They want to feel good. They don't want to lose. When they lose, it hurts. And here's where this is important right now. We oftentimes, most of us, use three categories of faulty tactics in order to try to avoid and even eliminate, reduce the awareness of loss and of the consequent grief. First category is faulty thinking tactics. That's stuff like denial or minimization or magnification or catastrophizing or rationalization. We do something to twist the fullness and or try to just dismiss it completely. And actually, these are very powerful tools. Self-deception. We're all built with these. We need these tools, these tactics, for situations that are way too traumatic for us, that if we were to fully be engulfed by the reality, we wouldn't be able to function. So we've been given these beautiful gifts to be able to fight through and get through to safety and security, and then for restoration and relief. But unfortunately, we use these for stuff like being told no, or go do something you don't want to do, or stop doing something that you like doing. Think about the kids in your lives, and when you tell them no, and the reactions they have. You want to know why? Because they're trying to avoid that grief. If you're trying to always constantly strive to avoid grief, then your focus is going to be on, I got to do whatever it takes, because for some people, that is survival. Sometimes when we are not commensurate with our responses to threats or loss, we do it too much. There's 4 levels of that. if something hurts or is injurious or permanently injurious or annihilation. For some people, especially with addictive mindsets, when you tell them no or stop or go do something that they don't want to do, that registers as not hurt. It wouldn't be a temporary painful experience. It registers to annihilation. That's what you're dealing with quite often when you're seeing these hyper reactions, these over the top responses to what seems like nominal, minimal type of stuff. But the threat is that large, the hurt is that much. That second category of faulty tactics are called faulty behavioral tactics. Those are your compulsions and your addictions. You go connect to a source because it feels good for a time. You get some temporary relief, some temporary power and control, all that good stuff. But then it's just to avoid and detract yourself from the awareness of whatever grief you're trying to fight the reality of. And here's a slippery one. And if you guys heard me talk before, this is very layered and it gets real dicey real quick. Faulty relational tactics. And there's two main subcategories of that. One is displacement. That's direct and overt. So when you're feeling the effects of loss and grief, you just find a way to dump your discomfort and the negativity onto somebody else. You put it on their property and then hope that they deal with it. You delude yourself into thinking, no, I got rid of it, so it's now theirs. Especially if they see you react, now they're going, oh, they took it on. So you delude yourself. All three of these categories are delusional. They're self-deception. That other subcategory is called projection, and that gets, it's layered. But it's subtle ways, sneaky ways, crafty ways of trying to get that loss, that grief off of your property and onto someone else and try to get them to react with it. And once again, it's a delusional thing. But we use these tactics all the time. I want you to stop and slow down and think about the people in your circle of influence. I want you to think about yourself. I want you to think about every single time that you feel a certain kind of way, you're uncomfortable. There's a reason. Even when you're feeling disappointed or disapproved or rejected or you're alone or lonely or bored, whatever it is in this life that you feel uncomfortable, it's because there's a negative message. The message is you either have lost something of value or you're not getting something that you need or want. It's really that simple. And so if you think about that, the moment that message hits, then you get the discomfort that goes with it. Frustration, anger, sadness, fear, stress, anxiety, whatever uncomfortable emotion it is. That uncomfortable emotion is supposed to alert you that there's negativity on your premises. Here's the thing, and this is my big sell for today, is that as much as possible, when you experience loss, like I said, something you had is gone, or something that you need is not available, as much as possible, don't try to use those faulty tactics. Honor the moment, feel your feelings fully, think your thoughts, express it, get it out. Try not to get it out in your circle of influence for the people are not prepared, trained, or willing to accept your messaging in those moments. I'm telling you, every single day, all day long, many people around the world in the history of life are constantly sending their negativity off to people that are saying, I don't want that. I'm not prepared for it. I'm not trained for it. I don't know what to do with it. Truthfully, I can't really help you with it. We got so many counselors and therapists and coaches and other people in life that are designed to be able to help with that. But even then, we're human and we could only take so much. I just lost one of our teammates on our team. He was an absolute warrior and trooper and soldier, like you wouldn't believe. Tough as nails, is great guy, wonderful sense of humor, super kind, humble, just a wonderful dude. Not perfect, nobody's perfect, but he's a great guy. And dealing with lots of loss around him, lots of loss, discrepancy between every single day of his life. He was given and given and given and not getting but much in return. And when you have an ROI like that, that deficit gnaws at you. It weighs heavy. And that's where the depressions come in. That's where the crashes come in. There's only so much you can do in those type of scenarios, right? You got to learn to be able to, as best as possible, fully and completely metabolize loss. Most of us are not trained to do that. Think about when you were a child and the first time you were told no. Did your parents stop and slow down and be in the moment with you and empathize and say, it's okay, you're strong enough to deal with this, you can do this? Did they honor that moment and feel the fullness of all of your grief, all the discomfort? all of your tactics to try to get them to turn that no into a yes? Did they do that? Probably not. So often there's so much going on and there's lots of reasons behind this, but ultimately the bottom line is people don't want to deal with other people's negativity or their discomfort or their grief. We're not built to do this. It's rough. But unfortunately, this is happening all the time, everywhere. Stop and think about your daily life and think about when you're interacting with someone and they're having these reactions. I promise you, at the very core of that is loss and the consequent grief and doing whatever possible to try to avoid or fight the full awareness of that. This is a powerful, powerful message if you really think it through. You distill through everything. The bottom line is we don't want to experience loss. And I don't blame any of us. I'm not built for it. I know I'm pretty darn good at certain things in this life. I think I'm pretty good at metabolizing negativity. I've worked really hard, trained myself. I've been blessed with the aptitude to be able to deal with lots of stuff, but I'm not good at loss, the full loss. I'm not good at the loss of people. Got a beautiful pet behind me. Maybe you can see. I don't like the thought of that. I'm not good at it. But one thing I have learned, and it was the hard way, is that you owe whatever you're storing. If you keep storing that negativity within and that grief within and that sadness and the depression and frustrations and all that other stuff, you owe it. And it's trying to get up to the surface. It's trying to get your attention. It's gnawing at you to say, hey, stop and honor this and help me get out of your system. It's like poison that's infecting you and destroying you. You're carrying around this negativity that doesn't belong there. It doesn't need to be there, but we get used to it. It's like that progressive overload. At first, it feels like it's one brick. So at first, the brick, like, dang, I'm carrying around an extra brick. But then you get used to it. Then another brick. Then you end up with a whole bunch of bricks you're carrying around. And when you get to the peaks and valleys of life, it's too heavy. It weighs you down. And that's when people have their crash outs. That's when they have the real big difficulties. My advocacy today, as much as possible, is for you to stop and think about the real core reason why you do everything in life to either avoid loss or to gain something of value. It's really that simple. Every area. Sometimes it's a long game. Sometimes it's big picture. Sometimes it's quick, short things. But ultimately, we're trying to avoid grief. All the other uncomfortable emotions, same exact story. It all whittles its way down to grief. If you think from that framework, it's really easy for you to be able to best navigate the moment by yourself or with other people. And in particular, when you're a leader of someone else, and kids especially, honor that, walk them through, be empathic, be understanding, and help give them an understanding of why they're fighting and trying to avoid so hard, and then let them know it's okay. I was talking to a mom yesterday, and she's having trouble because her daughter made some poor decisions, and those poor decisions end up causing her that she no longer has any friends. And not only that, but this last friend that she did have, she made some poor choices, and now that friend's parents don't want to have anything to do with her and the parents. So not only did the daughter lose her last friend, but her parents are affected by it as well. And I strongly suggested, I said, listen, as best as possible, and I know it's not easy because you're going through grief as well, I want you to send messages to your daughter like, hey, it's okay. We all make mistakes in life. We all do things selfishly. We all do things wrong. We all do damage. And the key is to bounce back from that. I believe in your resilience. I've seen you bounce back before. I've seen you overcome things. So I know you can do it. But in the meantime, I want you to honor the fullness of this. I want you to feel all those feelings. I don't want you to get overwhelmed by them. I want you to realize they're for a time. And if you honor it and you keep feeling it and you keep expressing it and you keep understanding it, you help yourself get to that point, you will eventually metabolize it. But at some point, you're going to have to stop with the pain and suffering, and you're going to have to say, okay, it's over and done. I've said sorry. I've forgiven. I've asked for forgiven. I suffered my consequences. And then now lessons learned, and now I got to move forward. And now I got to start on the search for how do I build new, better relationships? What kind of skills do I need to have? What kind of decisions do I need to make? And I said to this mom, and I'd say this to anyone, including myself, as best as possible, you want to be empathic and encouraging. You want to be equipping. You want to help. Okay, when you're ready, let's have a conversation about how you best initiate communication. How do you best maintain and facilitate? What are the best messages? What are the best decisions? How do you comport yourself in a way that you're no longer doing damage? And that's a hard thing, especially for young people, but it's our responsibility as folks with some more maturity, hopefully, some more experience, some more skill, and with access to certain tools, that we convey those to the young people of today. That's our responsibility. And if we can equip them to be able to honor the moment and to honor loss and to learn to fully go through it all without trying to avoid or fight that and using those faulty tactics, I think that's one of our biggest responsibilities. With that being said, it's not easy to do this stuff. Where is this information that teaches us and trains us and that we become adept at it so that it becomes second nature? It's not readily available. That's why one of my motivations with this difficult circumstance series is to provide as much information as I can to you guys. Eventually, if you need, you contact me and I will start groups online. I will start one-to-one sessions with you. I'm available to do whatever I can to help you better understand this type of stuff. Oftentimes we need a customized approach. I know when it comes to my learning, I'm not good at learning by reading books anymore. I'm not good at watching the YouTube videos to understand things. And I'm not even good at listening to other people try to teach me certain things. I have trouble, and I'm not alone in that. And my areas of difficulty may not be yours, but if you have trouble with understanding loss and grief and you don't know your way through that, you don't know the best things, hit me up in the comments and I'll do whatever I can to respond back to you. I want to be of help to all you guys who are out there. I know life is difficult. I wanted to leave you with this. I want you to think about this. This is something that hit me when I was very young. Ancient history, some would say. Long ago, I read something that said that try to think of your life as a legacy and what are you leaving behind? Are you contributing good to the rest of the world and people? And that hit me at first like, okay. I started thinking about it. Yeah, come on. Like I'm young. Like how much can I really do, offer, whatever else? But the part that hit me that I read further was think about what people would say at your funeral. And it's had a lasting impact on me. And I think about that all too often when we're at a funeral or celebration of life, we think through and it's like the sadness comes with the loss of the goodness that person provided. I believe very strongly that your level of grief is commensurate with how much good that person has brought to you. If someone's not brought good to you, or someone's a stranger, or someone's an enemy to you, or whatever else, it's really not that big of a deal when it comes to loss. But the more volume, the more depth, the more frequency of someone caring for you and loving you and giving you positive, that's what hurts the most. And we have a myriad of tactics to try to reduce that. We push people and things away and pets and whatever else. We try to devalue in hopes that will help mitigate the loss. It doesn't work. The bottom line today is learn to honor the moment. Learn to honor the loss. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid you're going to get stuck. Have courage, have trust, have faith. If you need support outside of yourself, which I think all of us do, you need a higher power to help guide you through things, to help you metabolize things. Seek that. Don't keep struggling. Don't keep avoiding. Don't keep fighting. Don't keep yourself busy and distracted. Don't minimize or deny. Accept the fullness and realize you're going to be okay. The fear for a lot of people is they're going to get stuck in that trap and they'll never get out. And I get it. But every single time you do a revolution of using these faulty tactics, it becomes more and more difficult for you to process through things the correct way. And there is a correct way. I know grief comes on in lots of different forms and everyone has their process, but there are certain principles. It's the bottom line is negativity has hit and it has done harm and damage, and now there's loss and you have that discomfort. It's really that clear. So what are you supposed to do with that? If you got to keep toughing it out, I don't think that works. You might have to for a time until you get some space, clear some space. But ultimately, I think it's important for all of us to promote this kind of culture internally and then also in our relational environments. If you have any questions or comments, suggestions, concerns, you want to add anything to this, I feel free to make the comments. I appreciate those. As always, your ally in life. You guys take care despite the difficulties of life.